Welcome, everybody. I'm so happy to have you here for this session. I'm your host, Melissa Schwartz, and I am joined by Michael Smith, one of my favorite guests to talk with on this summit. For over 2 decades, Michael Smith, Ph.D., has been working to help empaths and highly sensitive people embrace their gifts. As a trained counselor, spirit medium, and energy healing practitioner, Michael's work has reached millions worldwide. Michael's greatest joy is to facilitate deep connection to spirit, and he currently offers this through his Empath Sanctuary online community. Michael, I'm so happy to have you with us today. Thanks for joining me.
So excited to be here again, Melissa, and welcome to all of the viewers and listeners. We're going to have a really fun, juicy conversation today and some practical exercises and meditations that will hopefully take you pretty deep so that you'll get the clarity that you're seeking.
I'm so looking forward to diving into all of it. So for people who might not be familiar with you or your work, can you just share a little bit about your journey and kind of how you came to have this awakening to intuition, to having this really clear connection to spirit?
Yes. And before I do, I want to invite each of the viewers and listeners to place an intention for what you would like to have happen to your intuition into the field before we go any further, and place a question that you would like illumination from the universe and from spirit upon, and we set the intention that by the end of our session today, you will receive the clarity that you're seeking on the intention and the question. So go ahead and place that into the field. And I'll share a little bit about my own awakening. I had a lot of healers or healing practitioners, light workers come from a family history of healers, and that was not the case with me. I was born into very ordinary, if you will, traditional religious Catholic upbringing. And so when I had my first psychic experience, just happened out of the blue, when I was just laying down for a nap, and all of a sudden I just had this vision and this knowing that my aunt, who was considered infertile, that she was going to get pregnant. When that actually happened, the next day, I told my parents about this. I think it blew all of our minds, quite honestly. And I know it certainly did set me on a path of I just had to figure it out. I have a natural inquisitiveness to me, as I'm sure all of us do. If you're watching this, you also have that same inquisitiveness. So I took that, and I became a counselor, and then that didn't work for because it just didn't have the spiritual impact. So after a lot of misery and heartbreak, being a professor of counseling at the University of Wyoming, I said, all right, I got to really take this seriously. So I moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico. Great place to be for all budding light workers, healing practitioners. I learned so much, studied with the Lakota, did ceremony after ceremony after ceremony for 5 to 8 years there while I was living there. And here we are today. In 2007, I created Empath Connection, and I've been working ever since exclusively as a spiritual guide and a mentor to empaths.
So I'm just curious, and sometimes I love to ask this question of people that participate in the summit. How do you define an empath? What does it mean to you personally when you use that word?
Perception. We have the ability to perceive. That's a really important word that we're going to be talking about today. And for empaths, what are we most naturally gifted at perceiving? Other people. We're deeply attuned, because this is how we're designed by the universe, to let more in, to literally pull in what is in our environment. And that's why it can be so challenging for us as empaths if we don't know how to keep ourselves centered and in our own energy. It's an illusion, but in our juicy divine energy. If we don't know how to do that, then we can become lost in the energy of other people. So I would say, the empath is probably the commonality among all of us. There's so many different types. The commonality is the fact that we perceive emotions of others easily and effortlessly. Yeah.
Yeah. And as we're talking about perception, would you also go as far as to say that like spirit, that we're perceiving spirit communication, like that we're perceiving non-physical wisdom, that we're taking it in not just from other people and their emotions, but that we're taking in, sometimes I think about it like a dog whistle, like empaths are picking up on things that other people aren't necessarily able to tune into. Is that your understanding, or am I sort of superimposing my own belief and experience onto
Well,
you?
you are superimposing your belief and experience, but I love it, right? I mean, it's a wonderful thing. It's something we all do. What do we have other than our own lens and our own perception, right? And so I love what you're talking about there, the dog whistle. Never heard that metaphor before. Love it, because it resonates very deeply for me as well, because the topic of today is the question really for all of us is, how do we more accurately make sense, interpret this giant soup of a universe in which we live? And our aspiration is to understand ourselves. Who am I is really the ultimate question. When we're talking about our connection to spirit and to our intuition, that's the ultimate question. It's why we ask to manifest, better health, better relationships. It's all tied to the question: who am I in relationship to other people, to the horizontal, the 3D, and who am I in relationship to, if you're going to use this, the vertical, or the 5D. And so that is a very important question. And when we ask that question, guess what happens, everybody? When we ask any question, what happens? The wheels are set in motion, and energy is activated in the cosmos because of any question at all. And so what we're doing is we're learning to more accurately, we're learning to more precisely ask specific questions in which the outcome is built into the question. And then we're learning to use all of our senses, all of our gifts, just like a dog can hear outside of the range of the human ears. We can do the same process with talking to our spirit guides, talking to the angels, whatever you conceptualize that force, that higher intelligence. We're plugging in today, and we're plugging in from here on out in a more consistent way so that we can really receive clarity on those questions, those big questions in our life.
So I am dying to ask you. And first, let me set the stage by letting you know that in this summit, we've talked a lot about those horizontal communications, about being an empath and setting energetic boundaries with others. But I'm really eager to talk with you about this vertical that you were just describing. How do we get our spiritual senses more turned on? How do we heighten our ability to hear, perceive, connect with our angels, the divine? I'm throwing a lot of language out there because it's whatever really resonates, right? We all use different language to talk about God or our spirit angels, our guides. But how do we like heighten our ability to hear the dog whistle, to receive their messages, to know what they're communicating to us, to feel their guidance, to feel their presence, to know that we're really supported? I know I just threw a lot of questions at you, but I'm so eager to hear all of it from you. So give me whatever it is that resonates with you, Michael.
How do we do it? By doing what you just did, which was the most gorgeous example of a beautiful, specific question that contained the outcome that we want. In that question itself, I heard you mentioning the outcomes in the question. So first of all, before we go any further, how do we refine our senses? How do we get our spiritual senses turned on? We recognize that the answer comes in the asking of the question, outside of our conscious awareness. The energy contained in your question, the energy of the answer is because you asked, it's coming towards you, and it's coming to me, and it's coming to all of us. So your question, thank you, created a little mini energy vortex in which we all have access to that energy now. It's outside right now. At this point, it's outside. The answer to that question is outside of all of our conscious awareness. So what's the next question then? How do we bring the energy into our conscious awareness? So let's talk about that. Everyone breathe in from a sphere of light. Imagine Melissa's question in a sphere of light in front of you, 2 feet in front of you. Take one deep intentional breath from that ball of light, which contains the answer. Breathe it into your lungs and fill up your lungs, and then exhale gratitude in advance for the answer that you are receiving energetically. Now, this is where we get to work and we put our intellects to work. That was the 5th dimensional answer, okay? There's a 5D and there's a 3D answer. It's important for us to recognize the distinction that when we ask a question, how do I get better health? How do I manifest a relationship? That's mine, big one right now, right? The answer comes in 2 ways. It comes through the 5D, through the, and which we have access to. We breathe it in, which we just did. And then it comes on the 3D. So let's talk about the 3D. Spirit needs all of us to do more than we're doing. And often in a new way. And what do we mean by that? Spirit needs us to spend more time and create space in our very busy schedules, like we are doing. Thank you for all of you who are watching and listening, because this is an example of what Spirit needs from all of us: deeper commitment. If you're spending 2 hours a day, let's use this as an example. I see this all the time with my clientele. If you're spending 2 hours a day, 1, 2, 3 hours a day on social media, and then you're throwing in a meditation or time with the divine as like an afterthought, which so many of us fall into this habit, right? I see you laughing, Melissa, right? We're all, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? We're human. We're constantly trying to balance. The divine needs us in order to get those senses, as you say, those spiritual senses turned on. We have to spend time with Spirit. And we can do that primarily through spending time in nature, automatic intuition booster. When I walk outside my house, and the same goes for you, electricity interferes with our connection to Spirit. So when we have alternating current, which is like a ping pong match going on in your walls, because we're so sensitive as to empaths to that current, we've gotten used to it. We don't realize how sensitive we are to that current. It interferes with our connection. When we step outside into the purity of the 7.8 average frequency of Mother Earth, our brain waves then, ding, 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 are also, not coincidentally, 7.8 on average megahertz. Then we can attune more deeply to our true essence, which contains clarity and clear answers and communication and relationship that goes back and forth. So the bottom line is we just need to spend as much time, ideally, with Spirit, with nature, quieting our minds and turning on our senses, our 3D senses. And when we do that, then everything becomes really clear and it falls into place.
Really helpful. So I think what I'm hearing you say is get off social media.
Yes.
Get outside, and that by simply making more space in our day for the divine to be able to receive us, that we are actually serving like all of humanity, that the divine is sort of needing us to show up to be able to move through us, to utilize us as like a transmitter for the planet. Am I getting what you're saying? Is that accurate?
Ding, ding, ding. It was so beautiful, eloquent what you just said. And I love the fact that, yes, it's really simple. Spirit is so simple. And we sit here and we think, well, is it really that simple? Yes, It is. It's as simple as creating space in our time to spend with the divine, whatever the divine is for us. And for most empaths, it's nature because of what the vibration of nature does. I love the fact that you included the word serve and service, serving all of humanity, because that's what we're here to do. That's what empaths do. And you can feel it in me. I get excited by this word because I've devoted my entire life, as have all of us that are empaths. We've devoted our lives to serving others. Many of us, not all of us, do that professionally, holding space for others. And whether or not you do it professionally as a holder of space is irrelevant, because if you're an empath, you are here on this planet to anchor light. And when you, as an empath, and we together acknowledge that we are here not for ourselves, but we are here to serve the divine through our gifts that they've given us, then we go next level in our ability to both ignite our intuition and our ability to manifest amazing stuff on this earth plane, this 3D plane, when we include service. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. This is next level, all right? Here, feel into this question, everybody. How can I manifest a new house? Feel into that. Breathe that into you. How can I manifest a new house, all right? Or a new relationship, or whatever your version of that is for you. Now, feel the difference between that question and a question that Melissa is bringing us into, is the service aspect. How can I manifest a new house or a new relationship or better health, whatever your version of it is? So let's just use this as an example. So I can host parties and retreats at my house so that I can share the energy of the divine with others and serve on a more deeper level. Do you feel the difference, everybody? And Melissa, in the two questions, one of them includes service to others, and it includes, you'll notice that question included the outcome that we wanted. When we state the outcome that we want in the question, that is how we manifest and activate the answer that feels good and that is of the highest good. We include the outcome in the question. How can I get healthier so that I can be a better servant? Really important what you brought up, Melissa. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for really expanding on it. And so my next question is, incidentally, do we have to ask for what we're wanting, or like are our angels just kind of giving it to us? You know, I've sort of heard that if you don't ask for it, they're not going to show up and be with you. They're not interfering in our lives. You know, our angels, our spirit guides, again, whatever language it is that resonates with each person individually. They're not sort of looking out for us and setting things up, that they're really waiting for us to invite them in, to invite in their guidance, to invite in their presence. And so I'm curious, from your perspective, since you work in this field, in this realm, can we just sort of like move through life and expect for them to, you know, keep manifesting the wanted? Or do we specifically have to get clear about calling in a home so that it can be a retreat space, or calling in a relationship so that we can be a model, so that we can learn more about connection and love for self and others? Do we have to get clear about why we're asking for what we want and really ask our guides for it? Or are they just kind of giving it to us, holding our hand through life, making sure that we're satiated and happy?
Well, like a lot of things in life, the answer is not so clear cut. I would say it's yes, and there are a few qualifiers here. All right. So 1,000% yes. We need to ask for what we want. That's what we're here to do. We are conscious creators. And I'm sure you've noticed, empaths who are watching and listening, we're moving into a completely new era, completely new earth. And some of it's a little bit spooky, and a lot of it's pretty amazing what's coming to us. And we're learning to focus on the amazingness because we are conscious co-creators with the divine. What does that mean? It means that what we focus on, we receive. So if we need to ask for what we want in order for the divine energy to reach us more effortlessly and easy, so that we can manifest quicker and more expeditiously, if that even a word, um, in a way that doesn't that is not detrimental to everyone's process, because we are all part of the same one. And when we ask to manifest, like me, a new relationship or whatever it is, a new house or whatever it is that you're seeking, it impacts the all. It impacts all of us. It impacts the whole. So let's put it this way. Having, well, if you are meant to receive something or to manifest something, if you're meant to know something on an intuitive level, on a spiritual level, spirit is going to make sure that that happens. If it's in your soul contract, if it's in our soul contracts, we're going to get it. Or if a relationship is in my soul contract, I will get it. When and how it happens, maybe that's where the free will comes in. And the same applies for intuition. If you're meant to know something, you will know it. And we often walk around in our everyday life not recognizing the egos, because we have a human ego. And the design, I want everyone to hear this, the design of our human ego is to keep things out, namely things that would create fear. According to the ego, the ego is designed to be the gatekeeper. So when we talk about intuition, we're going to get into this now, the 4 layers of the mental body. We are talking about the superconscious. This is this is the all. And how do we access the superconscious? Everyone, it's so easy. How long can you go without a thought right now? That asking of that question puts us in the witness state, which is the superconscious. We have access to the superconscious through the witness state. We also have access, one layer below the superconscious is our intellect. Our intellect is part of our higher self. What does our intellect do? It makes sense. It interprets this giant soup of superconsciousness. So when we ask a question, not only do we acknowledge that we get the energy coming into our hearts automatically by default, that's the 5D. How we interpret the energy is through the intellect. It's part of our mental body that is one step below the superconscious. It's part of our higher self, and it interprets the universe. So in our goal of becoming more precise in interpreting this, interpreting our own connection to spirit, we use the intellect to come up with words and symbols that resonate with us. One step below the intellect is the ego, and the ego is the gatekeeper. Its primary job is to keep you safe. So we all affirm that the ego is our friend, it is an ally. And when it doubts, which it's designed by the universe to do, why judge it when we recognize that it's designed to doubt? So we affirm that it is our friend and is designed to doubt. The combination of using all 3 of those layers of the mental body, the 4th layer is the judge, which is I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm terrible as an intuitive, blah, 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 blah. That's the judge. We all have that. So we are now interacting, and we're strengthening our relationship to both the superconscious and how do we do that? We invoke our intellects in a deeper way. So this is the model that I use in all the work that I do with my spirit school classes that's coming up here in October in the Empath Academy. I use this model that I'm presenting to you today to go much, much deeper, obviously, than we're going here today. But you can take a look. We're getting down to the bullet point. That's the whole point of this talk here today, is to help you. And I'm going to lead you through a meditation before we end, and some exercises to help you get down here to the bullet point where you receive clarity. Clarity is the opposite of confusion, and confusion is what we experience when we are in our egos too much.
Okay, so if confusion is what we experience in our ego in this lower of the body, and clarity, I'm assuming then means that we're experiencing that more in the the superconsciousness or the intellectual state, how do we know that it's clarity that we're receiving? Is it because of how it feels when we receive it? Is it
Yes.
the way that we receive it? Is it the quality of what is received?
Yes. Intuition is fast. If something is true, it's going to bypass the ego. So here's where we need to qualify this just a tad, because confusion is actually our ally. And you might be thinking, well, why would I want to be confused? Here's an example. If something is true and it's coming to you from your spiritual channel and your open connection, and you're meant to know something, it will bypass your ego. It will come so fast that it will bypass your ego. Your ego doesn't have time to try to get in there and do its job and, okay, I need to make sense of this. What's going on here? It believes that it's its job. And if we find ourselves confused, it's actually a sign that we can trust what we're receiving. So there's a qualifier there. Most of the time, what ego will do, it will attempt to make things very complex. So if it feels complex, that might be a better word to say. If it feels complex, we know that it's coming from ego. And there are occasions where spirit will just drop the answer and bypass our ego. And we're sitting here going, well, wait a minute. Where is this coming from? And if you feel a little bit confused, like, I wasn't thinking about this, that's actually a good sign that you can trust what you're receiving, because it's bypassed the ego and you haven't even had time, your ego hasn't had time to mess with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And sometimes for me, it shows up like in a song over the radio in a store,
Yes.
or I'll have a conversation with a friend and they'll say something. I'm like, why did you say that? Like, how did you get into my head? So it's not always an internal experience. Sometimes it's showing up outside of me, but it has that same clarity. And I almost want to use the word simplicity, right? How you were just
Yes.
talking about replacing confusion with complexity. It's like there's a clarity or a simplicity in the way that something is delivered.
Yes, it feels, spirit is simple. This is the fifth dimension, our spiritual energy, the part of ourself that exists on the other side, if you will, because 2/3 of us, roughly, I'm just using this as a guesstimate, right? 2/3 of us is actually, over on the other side, we would say, and only 1/3 of us is, conscious in this moment. So simplicity is a fifth dimensional spiritual energy, and I'm glad that you're recognizing it and bringing it up, because the ego is designed to make things complex, but spirit is simple. And so if it feels simple, we can trust it, and we know that we really are getting something of truth.
Really nice. And so I'm wondering, as we're talking about this, for some listeners, this might feel a little like heady and esoteric. Can you offer an exercise or a tip or a practice or
Yes.
a story, if you prefer, to kind of bring it down and help us integrate it
Yes.
and really feel it, so that it's something that we can walk away from this session with, like a real tangible experience?
Okay. Here's the process that we're going to use for today and the exercises that we're going to get into. The process that I'd like to offer you is a 3-step process to get out of your ego, to sink deeper, to open your channel, which is actually here and here, and to receive clarity on some of the questions or a question that you may have asked at the beginning of today's session that you'd like illumination on from the universe. We affirm, before we even do this 3-step process, we affirm and we declare, and I invite you to declare in your own consciousness, that the energy of your question, because you asked it or are asking it, the energy is the answer. And so the energy is already moving towards you. And how does it move towards you? Through your heart. And here's the 3-step process. Everyone, please follow along with me. Take a nice big inhale, and then simply exhale your egoic consciousness. Breathe it out of you. That's step one. When we let go of the ego, we are left with our higher self, our fifth dimensional consciousness. And so the second step is to affirm that and to call in higher intelligence with the following declaration and ask, I want to remember. So say that out loud if you can. I want to remember. And what we're doing is remembering what we already know, the answer that's already here. And the third step in a three-step process to deepen your intuitive powers and gifts is to ask the question, what is important to be brought to awareness? Notice we kept it vague. What is important to be brought to awareness? Yeah, I didn't include the word my in there because a lot of what we receive, because we are of service and we're vessels for others, what's important to be brought to awareness? It is a good question because it includes by default the others that might need some of the answer. So that three-step process I invite you to do, or we've done it. Okay, so we're in this energy field now. I'm going to present to you a object that is inside this cardboard box, and I'm inviting you, and Spirit is inviting you to close your eyes, affirm that you want to remember, exhale your ego, do it again if you need to, and then just say what's important to be brought to awareness. Now place your antenna, your energetic antenna, and ask, Spirit, what's important for me to know about what's in this box? And if you have a notepad, write down everything that comes to your consciousness. And so I'm going to prompt you. Okay. We all have a piece of the puzzle. You may not perceive accurately the exact object that's in the box. However, we all have access to a piece of the truth. We all have access to a part of the truth. We're in a multifaceted holographic universe. We all are a piece, an important piece of the puzzle, and our intuition will give us a piece of the puzzle. So I'm going to cue you. Focus on the colors. What colors are you perceiving? Those of you who are watching and listening, what colors come to mind? Make a note. Scan yourself and scan your intuition to take a look at the shape. What shapes are coming to you? What are you feeling? Feel into the answer and breathe in the answer directly into your heart. Make a connection with the object in this box. It's sacred. It's of the divine. Breathe it into your heart and let that energy speak to your intellect. Take a look at the texture. Feel the texture. When you rub your fingers on the texture, what do you feel? Is it rough? Is it smooth? A little bit of both? What's happening there? Become curious. Take a look at the light. Is it shiny? Is it dull? Is it refractive or reflective? Is it reflecting light? Look at that luminescence. How is the light appearing to you in your third eye connection? What about the size relative to this box? Is it small? Is it larger? What is your first instinct? First instinct is always more accurate because it bypasses the ego. So just go with your first instinct there. And wait. How heavy does it feel to you? Does it feel light? Does it feel heavy? I mean, come on. We're using our senses here, and we affirm in advance that you are accurately perceiving a portion of the answer of what's in this box. We affirm it right now. Everyone, when you're done and ready to come back, bring yourself back to ordinary consciousness, raise your hand and just declare, I am accurately perceiving a part of the truth. Yeah, because that's what we're doing. Now, we set ourselves up for success in all of the work that I do. The reason why my classes work and are so successful is because we declare ahead of time that we have zero interest in our inaccuracies. We have only interest in where we get it right because we're strength-based. And when we focus on strengths, that's what we get more of. So we set ourselves up for success here, and we declare that we all get a portion of the truth and of what's in this box. Now, I'm going to reveal what's in the box, and I'm just going to, there's actually multiple objects here. So just like the universe, it's complex. The answer is not just one thing, it's complex. So we have a piece of rose quartz. It's pinkish. It's in the shape of a heart. It's hard. It's shiny. It's reflecting light, and it's smooth, and it's relatively small. We have animals and my animal power animal oracle cards by Stephen Farmer. So you may have been you were perceiving the energy of this, how it appeared to you is unique to you. And that's what we spend 6 weeks exploring in the Spirit School. So we've got orange colors, we've got greens, we've got yellows. It's primarily orange, yellow, and greens on the book itself. It's square. All right. So it's a little bit different than this. It's a book. And it's from Stephen Farmer, and he's on a black hat. So there's some black in there as well. And it's relatively, again, small. And then the final object is an owl feather. And the owl is our intermediary. We can use this in a shamanic way. I'm also a shamanic practitioner been doing that for 20 years. We use the owl as an intermediary to connect with spirit and with source. And so it helps bridge the connection. So the owl feather is relatively smooth, and there's some browns and some whites primarily there. And you may have been perceiving sky or blue. And if you did perceive anything like that, that is the vibration that you're accurately perceiving. So Melissa, can I ask you, what in here was most accurate for you of what you were perceiving?
All of them were accurate. And I'm giggling like this was like a spiritual magic trick. I was waiting for you to pull out exactly what I was perceiving, but I have to tell you, Michael, I was perceiving, first I got yellow and orange.
Look at you.
And then I got smooth and matte, which is kind of how the rose quartz, my experience with a heart of rose quartz, which I've got stones all over, is how I would perceive it. And then I was perceiving light as a feather. When is it heavier dense?
I love that.
I heard light as a feather. Yes. And so I love it. I love the way that we've sort of come full circle in this conversation to the messages showing up specifically for me, but also specifically for everybody else that's listening and tuned in.
Yes. And I can feel the excitement in your voice. And how do we, and I'm sure others that are watching, listening, had a similar aha experience. How do I know that? Because I asked for it before this session. I asked the divine, as I do in all of my classes and work. And you have the same ability to create your future in advance. When I ask the divine, and when I say before this session, let them, meaning all of us, let us have aha, eureka moments. Let us accurately perceive a portion of the truth. That is an ask that I know I have seen it over and over and over, to the point now where I trust it implicitly. And your higher self also trusts in the same way, that when we ask for something, it will come to fruition. And our only job, the human self, is to let go of any expectation over how the answer will arrive.
I love it. And the other thing that makes me so excited in hearing your ask for this session is the greater experience that comes through it, the service that comes through it, is that you have now given all of us this new connection to our spiritual connection, to our spiritual guides, to our ability to hear in a new way. So not only was it this like spiritual magic trick, which was very exciting, but it has this much bigger service to the greater good for all of us who've participated in the session to walk away with this excitement and knowing that we can tap in and have that connection.
I'd ask everyone who's listening right now and watching, because you're part of this energy vortex, you were a part of it before, you're a part of it now, you'll be a part of this vortex after. What are you feeling in your physical body? This is a cue. This is how we strengthen our intuition. We pay attention to our senses. So right now, Melissa, as you're talking about your excitement. What's happening to me? My mirror neurons, my aura is pinging off of yours, and I am literally tingling, as I do always when I work with spirit. I'm tingling from head to toe with the excitement of what we're creating here. Not just you and I, all of us who are a part of this vortex here today, this important vortex. And yes, when we are being of service actively, it feels amazing. So even though you may not, you're watching, you're listening, you're an active part. You are serving, as Melissa, as you thankfully and so rightfully recognize. We're all serving each other at all times. The sooner we can recognize that and amplify it, the greater things that come to us. So we affirm that all of us are always serving at any given point in time. So let's make it more intentional, and let's bring it to our intellect's awareness so that we can create and sense our body, use our body as the oracle that it was designed to be, and pay attention, because the feelings of like goosebumps or tingles or warmth or chill, even chills, right? The energy movement, that is your higher self communicating with you. So when we talk about spirit communication, one of the unrecognized forms of spirit communication is simply the physical vessel, how it receives spirit communication. And for me, I heat up. And for a lot of empaths, when we work together, our heart chakras get activated. We get warmth, because what is the light? Light is fire. So of course we're going to reflect that. So if you heat up like I do, I'm sweating like crazy under this shirt. That is a great sign that spirit is communicating with you, and it goes unrecognized, as do memories. Memories are an important way that spirit communicates with us, that your guides communicate with you. I'm sure you've had this experience where you're just walking do 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 do, as you say, Melissa, through your day. I love that phrase. I say it myself, do 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 do, and all of a sudden I'm at Lake Michigan. I'm age 7. What's going on with that? We don't think all of the time to ask. But now that I'm bringing this up, and we are consciously all becoming aware that memories are where spirit communicates a deeper message for us. So if you've had those memories coming to you recently, which all of us have, your job going forward is to ask, what's important about this memory and why? What's the reason it's being brought to my awareness right now? When we ask that question, guess what happens? The answer comes to us, and we speed up the process of receiving clarity.
I love it. Michael, it is so much fun talking with you. I always look forward to when we get to record sessions.
Me too.
It's such a joy. For people who are listening, you mentioned a couple of times your spirit school class and your Empath Academy. Can you share a little bit more about them for people who might want to join, work with you, learn from you beyond this session?
Yes, I work with people both online and in person. The in person, we have the Sedona retreat coming up next May. I also do medicine weekends where I invite people to my home where we do a vision quest for you, traditional based vision quest. So I work with people in that way. Most of my work, though, is online, and I've got an amazing class I'm so excited about. It's called the Soul Sanctum Spirit School, and where we get to take a deep dive with the exercises, these types of magic tricks every single week. And you will come away with a clarity and confidence in your own abilities. I know this because I see it over and over and over. So if you want to build confidence and clarity and a deeper connection to spirit, we've got that spirit school starting very shortly here. October 18th is when we start. So you will want to make a decision and sign up quickly after the session is over, if that's something that's interesting for you. We also have the Empath Academy. It is online. It is in January. We do it 2 or 3 times a year. The next cycle is in January. It's a live class. We typically have anywhere from 8 to 12 people in the class. It's nice and intimate. Same thing with my spirit school. I keep the numbers purposely low so that we don't get overwhelmed, and that we are able to focus and have a really good intimate conversation, and we amplify the light in each other. So that's the Empath Academy. And if you want personal transformation, if you have blocks, limiting beliefs, want to let go of, and you know that you need to let go of some blocks, that's the class for you, because we do I offer a unique form of releasing ceremony. It's a ceremonial class, as is all of my work. You can probably feel that by now. Everything is about service and connecting to the divine. So those are a couple of options for you if you're interested in pursuing your own abilities further.
Really nice. So just to clarify, so your Sedona retreat and your online offerings are all small gatherings. They're not
Yes.
for thousands of people.
Some people are designed to work with thousands, and I have worked with millions, actually. My work is spread in a very large way. However, I'm intentionally, I know because I've asked Spirit to show me clarity on how I'm supposed to, or what's the ideal form of work right now. This could change. It's with the small groups because of the magic that happens in the alchemy of a small group. Yeah, great question.
Really nice. Really, really nice. So before we have to say goodbye for now, I'm wondering if there's anything that we didn't get to touch on that feels really important to share, or if you've just got some last words of wisdom that you want to leave the listeners with.
I would like to take us through a short meditation to end on that note, to receive answers and more clarity to maybe a question that you would like illumination on. So let's do that. Okay, everyone plant your feet on the ground and take a nice big inhalation from a ball of light beneath your feet. Breathe it up into your heart, strengthening, rounding, and then exhale your ego. Just as we did before, exhale, bye-bye, thank you. I'm connecting more deeply with my divinity. We set the intention to receive clarity and answers as we sink a little deeper into our divine connection. Now breathe down from above, a ball of light above your head, balancing you out with the masculine polarity. Breathe that down into your heart, knowing that the answers that you're breathing in the answers, and that the full answer will show up in your everyday life. And then exhale gratitude. Thank you, Divine Mother and Father, for being with us always, providing the clarity to all of our questions in the perfect timing. Now, we place our questions into the field and we affirm that the answers are coming to us through energy. Show me, Spirit, show me higher self. As I close my eyes and feel into the question of who I really am as an essence, as a soul, show me, what do I look like to you? What does my face look like? What do I radiate? What am I glowing with when I am in my essence, when I'm deeply connected to you, Spirit and Source? How does my face look like? What about my eyes? My smile? I thank you for this information. What do I feel like when I'm deeply engaged in my service, my dharma, and my passion? How does my body feel? How does my body feel right now as I'm connecting to myself and you, Spirit? In order to receive an answer to my question in the affirmative, Spirit, I ask you for guidance. What do you need me to release? What do you need me to let go of? Thoughts, beliefs, people, habits. Thank you for showing me through energy and through intellectual clarity the answer to that question. Spirit, show me the possibility for what my life will look like and feel like 1 year from now. Show me, what am I going to be engaged in? What do I want to be engaged in? What do you want me, more importantly, to be engaged in a year from now? We're creating our futures and setting ourselves up for success. And we thank you, Spirit. We thank you with gratitude for showing us the truth. And finally, Spirit, show me what action I can take today. Small, not overwhelming, small, simple action that I can take that will help you and I work together to co-create a new reality for all involved. Once again, we affirm our gratitude and we exhale our gratitude into Mother Earth now, consciously supporting Mother Earth for and thanking her for all of the support that she offers to each one of us. She is the way to connect to Source. We affirm it, we declare it, we know it. And we take one final inhalation from Mother Earth. And then exhale anything before this moment that is no longer relevant. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Mother Earth. And thank you, Melissa. And thank you all who have participated in this. It has been so fun.
Thank you, Michael. You are a treasure. And thank you to everybody for being here with us. Bye for now.